back to the Berg Podcast. Thanks for joining us today. With me today is Dan.
Hey, everybody.
And Ford.
Hey, how's it going?
And today we're talking about the need to balance summer. So it's a time where we get the vast majority of our main work done in the summer months, but summer months also bring some of the toughest working conditions, the heat, the thunderstorms, those types of things.
Humidity.
Humidity, and especially here in the Northeast, it just brings a lot of need for balancing, right?
Yeah, it's one of the trickiest times of the year because we're gonna work all year, obviously, or at least if you have a regular winter, you're gonna work 10 months, and then there'll be 2 months where you're trying to figure it out, see what you can do, schedule certain things. But in those 10 months, there's really 6 months that you want to go, and it's sort of the opposite of when everybody wants to, picture your summer vacation, right? Those shoulder season is the best time to work. If you can get a really good May and June and a really good, say, September, October, well, that's 4 really good months to work when the weather's cooperating, as long as it's not wet, right? The temperature's not as bad. Yeah. But the months that actually you perceive, this is the months we're going to really pound it, is going to be June, July, August. And it directly correlates to heat, and humidity in the Northeast correlates to thunderstorms. So you're dealing with you have 2 choices. It's either going to be so hot you can't breathe, or it's going to pour and rain at rates that didn't used to exist. And you're just trying to balance that. So it's difficult to be productive, be safe, and do that day after day.
Yeah.
So it's just something I thought we'd talk about because it's not something we normally talk about.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's a time of year that's, hard on the people, hard on the equipment, hard on the job sites. And, it's also that time of the year where we're trying to push so that we can maintain deadlines and get ourselves successfully into the fall so that, like you said, if those projects are wrapping up in a normal season for us, they're wrapping up, November, early December, et cetera. And now is when you are prime productivity, to get us there on time. So,
and there's a lot of things people do, you know what I mean? And it's not new. Again, summer and these temperatures, it's like you always say about Christmas comes every year. It's been, as long as people have been working outside, it's been hot here this time of year.
Yeah.
But we've gotten away from common sense. There's really no other way to say that, let's get, we're going to have something to drink, and you see people with Red Bulls or with, Monster or whatever their drink of choice is, or coffee, or iced tea or lemonade. It doesn't matter.
Sure.
None of them are just, purely water or something just with electrolytes to just try and help you stay hydrated.
Not to jump off topic, but pre-Gatorade, which is what, 80s? Became big,
late
70s, 80s.
Started 80s, it became big.
Right? Nobody even knew what electrolytes were.
No. And so I'm going to tell you this.
Salt.
Yeah.
So my sister, I was talking to my sister about this yesterday, and Rachel's biologist, and she was trying to explain to the girls what electrolytes were. And she was explaining that electrolytes are really just, she was saying about sodium being a negative ion and chloride's a positive, or vice versa. One of those two, you can, info@berg.com to tell me that I'm wrong. But one of them is positive, one of them is negative. And she was saying all an electrolyte is anything that helps you process food.
Yeah.
So it helps you process food into energy. And I guess, when the Florida researchers realized it, they were just realized that if you drank water, you got hydrated. But if you drank electrolytes, you not only hydrated, you also accelerated the processing of the food you were digesting.
Yeah, and it's about in terms of how the body functions, it's about glycogen storage, right? Can you hang on to sugar, essentially sugar and water, so that your body can turn them into fuel? And that's what electrolytes do. They help your body retain appropriate amounts of water, essentially. So as long as you're fueling your body properly and using things like electrolytes, salts, you're going to hang on to enough of it that you can get rid of it while you're sweating, right?
Yeah.
So,
and it's knowing yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In other words, I'm not going to speak for you guys, but I'll get sweaty real fast, which is healthy.
Sure.
But also means I have to drink a lot of water.
Yeah, you got to dress appropriately. If you're wearing thick, heavy clothes and you hang on to that sweat all day, it makes it actually harder for your body to cool down because you're not getting rid of the moisture.
Well, and that's a topic that comes up all the time with Aaron and the girls. Is we'll be somewhere and seeing people working, hard, and they'll have they're covered.
Yeah.
Now part of that's because of the sun, but part of it is they're trying to like they're trying to shield their body from the sun in a way that the heat gets dissipated before it gets to them, but not make themselves hotter and sweatier. Like it's not common sense. It's not simple. You know what I mean? Like, and now we have a lot of fabrics that work better, than in the old days, but it's not, the heat is not something you can just mess around with and win. You know what I mean? Like in some sense, there's a lot of things like that in life. Like I always think like the ocean's that way. You see people like run into the ocean. I'm going to go play in the ocean, and like, okay, I'm going to watch you get wrecked because you don't know what you're doing. And in a lot of ways, heat's that way. You can work in virtually any stage of heat as long as you are appropriately dressed, appropriately hydrated. You understand your body, and you know what I mean. But if you don't, it can turn real fast, and all of a sudden you're dehydrated or you have heat stroke, or you know what I mean, and you can find yourself in a bad way real fast. And sometimes I don't want to say funny, but it is funny to see people that you would not expect to be able to work in those conditions outworking people who you would think would be able to work. And one funny example, it honestly is your mom, right? Like your mom, part of it is Carol Berg is built different than most people. But the other part of it is she understands the exact parameters of what she needs to do in terms of sleep, what she actually needs to eat, when she should eat, how much she's going to drink, and what to wear. You know what I mean? And when you put all those things together, you watch her just walk people off the site. But back in the day and now, at her age, she could still do it right now. You put her on a site with a bunch of laborers, make people pure labor. Someone's taking a break and going home before Carol Berg. You know what I mean?
Part of it is like the steadiness, right? Like, I mean, it's the tortoise and the hare all over again, right? I mean, she's never going to go at 100 miles an hour, but she's going to be able to last a lot longer. I think it's a lot to do with air conditioning too. We don't need to go into like conspiracy theories, but it's just like, I realize that a lot of people, they don't get outside of a 5-degree temperature
between
control.
their house, their car,
right,
the buildings they go into,
right. And so like they go out, I mean, like you go out and you see somebody and they just like wilt, like, I mean, it almost looks like a plant. You're just like 5 minutes in, they're just like shrank almost because, we grew up, didn't have air conditioning, worked outside. It wasn't any hotter. It was actually nicer because, you were able to move.
Air was moving. Right?
Exactly.
A little bit of a breeze.
So, I mean, but your body got adjusted to the situation you're around.
Yeah.
Well, and like we used to drive in vehicles, you didn't have air conditioning. You put the windows down, or you put the little vent, the little like triangle vents. Exactly. And all it was doing was blowing the hot air at you, but at least air was moving. Yes.
Yeah, even hot air moving feels cool.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think about like our equipment, and like there's still stuff out there, but like that don't have cabs. Like that was just a norm probably till 10, 15 years ago. I mean, the bigger stuff did, but all the small stuff, like you never were able to order it with cabs on it. It was always just like, a different. So it makes it more interesting because like they get in a cab for 2 hours or something, and then they get out, and it just like hits them in the face even harder.
I was thinking a little bit about what both of you were just saying there, and like I think that like all in the same lines as both of those conversations, like the Carol Berg argument has historically been like the stay ready argument, right? Like Carol is not sitting around thinking like, well, I got to hydrate because it's going to be hot tomorrow. Like she is just, that's her natural.
Right, she's always going to be hydrated.
Her natural inclination is to live healthy, right? It's like to stay hydrated, to eat in a way that takes care of her body. And so like a lot of times if, and I think the messaging is good. Like we want the training out there. We do the training. We get our people engaged. We give them the reminders and the messaging, like it's coming, But if you're not, ready, it's hard to get ready.
Getting an alert at 8 a.m. saying, "Hey, it's hot today," is not going. It's not the time.
You need to be hydrated.
But I mean, you think about how many. Yeah. I don't care. Grocery. I'll say like all the convenience stores. I don't care the brand.
Yeah.
You walk into them, and there's 15 refrigerator doors. Right. And maybe half of one is water.
Right.
Yeah. Like maybe the other half of that one is the electrolyte, like sports drinks.
Sure.
But everything else is just straight sugar drinks, like
across
the board.
Sugar drinks.
Right. No sugar, but has something else in it.
But like in other words, it's when you think about it, and air conditioning is a big piece of this. And like for me, the biggest way I can see the difference in air conditioning is if I'm sitting here and I'm working at the office, I might drink one of my like Yeti things full of water. Right. So what's that? It's like 24 ounces, maybe. If I'm being intentional,
Holy smokes,
but I'm saying if I'm being intentional, I'll drink a fair amount.
Okay.
But if I'm like working and not paying attention, I don't need to drink any water because I'm not sweating.
Yeah.
But if you put me like when I go to the beach or to a soccer tournament or any of the places I'm not supposed to talk about for Mara, right? I will drink a lot of water because my body knows that, and I'll do it ahead of time. Like I know, you know what I mean? If it's Friday and I know I'm going to the beach at the end of the day, I'll drink a lot of water on Friday. Then I'll come back on Monday. I'll sit in the air conditioning and be like, oh, it's so cool and nice in here. It's not humid. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I didn't drink any water today. You know what I mean? Now, I think that, and so I think
the air conditioning dries me out though. I don't know. Do you guys not experience that? Like, I don't know. I feel like I feel like my mouth gets dry and stuff like that when I'm in the air conditioning. I feel like I drink a lot of water. Even
you always drink a lot of water. You're in the Carol Berg mold of always prepared.
I'm not nearly. Yeah.
All right, maybe Carol Berg could be in the Brian mold because it would be Carol Berg. Clearly, you're not fitting into that mold. Yeah. I had said that about JC, my cousin Mia's fiance, and I said about I was going to borrow a suit from him for the wedding. Because he goes to so many weddings. I said, I just need to borrow 2 because my size would be 2JC. I just need 2 suits, and then a tailor can piece that into one large Dan suit.
There you go.
But I think air conditioning makes a huge difference, and then technology. Like in other words, for us and for say the foreman especially, like you're on the phone. So you're on the phone, so you can't put the windows down. So you can't put the windows down, so the air's on. So now you just drove to a site and you get out and it's 97 degrees with 85 to 95% humidity, and you're like, phew, it is hot out here.
Yeah.
But that's because you stayed inside for 80% of your day and then stepped outside into it, and humidity is the other piece. Like, in other words, I saw a funny thing somewhere about talking about how hot it is and making fun of certain states. But like, you go to like the deep South, Louisiana, Florida, like that Alabama coast. I mean, it's humid here. It's not humid like there.
Sure. Yeah.
But humidity makes a difference. You know what I mean? Like, it can be.
I mean, like when you go to Arizona, they call it the dry heat, and you're like, still feels pretty hot.
It's still hot. But I mean, you just don't, like, at least for me, like when it gets really humid, I sweat a lot more. I'm more impacted. And, that's the thing is you're losing, as soon as you're sweating, you're dehydrating.
Yeah.
And you need to match that rate at minimum.
Yeah, what you're talking about too is the dew point. So like the relative humidity.
Yeah.
Because it actually makes it harder. You're sweating, but it makes it harder for the sweat to evaporate off your body.
Yeah.
Which is the cooling process. So the more the moisture sits on you, the more heat your body retains.
Brian's going to come up with a new like Adam Jovis term, like the real feel or something.
I was pretty impressed. He brought the dew point. I'm like, oh man, we need a little bow tie over there. We're going to have the old school
the bow tie one.
NBC 10.
He went channel 10. I was going 6.
A lot of heat acclimation and stuff like that. Like what you're really watching is dew point, because even if it's only 80 degrees out, but the dew point's really high, you can't get rid of the heat when you're exercising specific to sports.
I see that all the time.
Do you think that's another thing though too? Like almost, like before, I mean, I guess you'd watch, well, we didn't have TV, but like, I guess you watch like the morning news or the evening news and you got told what the temperature the next day was going to be, right? Or something like that. But now you're getting alert, like every 10 minutes you can check and like, oh, it's hot today. Like, no kidding, go outside. Like, I mean, like,
July.
Yeah. I mean, it's
supposed to be hot.
Yeah. You know what I mean? But like, it's constantly reminding you, which is like double instilling that, oh my goodness, I can't believe how hot it is. It's like, well, it's July. I mean, like we've had hotter, we've had colder, we've had, every time it's different.
I also think there's a piece of it that they're feeding you the information in so many different ways, right? Like growing up, if you would know what the weather was going to be to some degree tomorrow, right? Like you would say like, oh, it's going to be hot tomorrow. It's going to rain tomorrow. Like it's going to be sunny or it's going to be cloudy, or, you know what I mean? Like you'd have now it's like, ooh, I think the UV rate's going to be 8. Like what does that even mean? Like, I don't, I know what it means. It means it's going to be sunny, but couldn't you just said it was going to be sunny? Like, no, it's UV, it's 4. Like, so that's cloudy.
No, I don't think that's true. No, I think it's relative to like how the impact of the sun, not whether or not it's sunny.
Well, that's usually what blocks the sun. It's clouds or haze, but I'm saying, like, in other words, they want to feed you so much information when really the information you need is really simple. Like, guys, it's hot. You should drink water. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Hydrate. You know what I mean? Or like, it's going to be very sunny. You should probably wear like some sort of suntan lotion if you're going to be. I mean, I wouldn't myself.
It's a lot of information.
I'd do double zero, but that's me.
It can become analysis paralysis. Yeah. You know, like you get so much information, you're trying to jam it all into one decision, and all of a sudden you can't make a decision, so you do nothing instead.
Yeah. Well, and for our team, I know part of it has to be, because I feel it at times, is that your beverages have become more than one thing. You know what I mean? Like if you're drinking a Monster drink, partly, or any of those things, it's partly that it's, you like how it tastes, it's sugary in one fashion or another.
Sure.
You're a little bit tired, it gives you an energy boost or a focus boost. In other words, hydration may be the last thing you're trying to accomplish. You know what I mean? Like if you're drinking one of those drinks, you're really not trying. Hydrating is not your primary concern. Yeah. And that's how you get into trouble. And then people are like, well, it's really hot today, so I drank my Monsters, and then I tried to chug a gallon of water, which, like, now you waterboarded yourself. You know what I mean? Like, and we've seen that happen. We've had people that drank too much water actively in that day, and then they sort of make themselves not feel water, because you can't make up for the fact that you're not well hydrated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I think it's like people in our industry are a tough bunch. Like, you've picked to be in this industry because, you know, and so you get the eye rolls or whatever. But the thing is that we're always talking about is that, you know, people have been doing this for a long time. They've seen it all. But there is, you know, not as much as we need, but there is definitely an influx of younger people into this industry.
Sure.
And, you know, their base of knowledge of just general stuff like heat and how to take care of yourself still has some space to grow. Like, they just haven't gotten that information in there. And so, like, you know, you're talking to someone that's got 30 years in the field, like, you know, they're also there with 2 thermoses. They prepared, like we were saying earlier, just because they've done it before, they've probably all gotten sick. I mean, I remember paving one day and coming home with hives on my legs because of the heat and all that kind of stuff. But, like, you know, the younger people haven't seen it. And so they're the ones that are probably some of the most ones that are, you know, trying to make sure that everybody's paying attention to everybody else being part of the team and trying to, like, keep an eye on people and not, you know, suggesting or making sure that they don't get too weak. And if they do, they learn the next time to be a little bit better prepared. And also new to the industry. You know, sure. Because in other words, it's like, I'm not singling anybody out, but we got a couple young people that are like blue collar working farm boys. You know what I mean? And they know exactly what they got to do when it's getting hot. You know what I mean? Like, they're not, I'm not saying they're not impacted. I'm not saying that it's not hot, but they're just glad they're not baling straw today. They'd rather be. In other words, and they're just, and they know they got to be. You know, they know what the deal is. Yeah. So you know, and so that's one of the things that age by itself. And Ford said experience. It's not just age; it's experience. It's understanding conditions and what that's, and for you, you know, and how that's going to play out. So it's tough because I really want it to be common sense, but it's not so common. So we need to talk about it. And everybody can roll their eyes at us for talking about it. And we send out a message that's, you know, 8 hours too late of being able to help them be pre-hydrated. But, you know, it's a struggle on my side as well. You know what I mean? Quite honestly, because in other words, I did not think about 2 days ago when I was like, guys, it's going to be really hot this week. I didn't think, like, you know what I should do? I should send a message to everybody telling them, hey, it's going to be really hot this week. Make sure you're hydrated and ready for it. I didn't. Sure. I thought about it for myself, but I didn't think about it for anybody else. And maybe that's something I need to be better about. You know what I mean? Is when I have that thought to say, like, hey, guys, what do you think we put out a message that just says, hey, it's going to be hot this week? You know, and we talk about it at the safety call. But again, on the safety call when I did it, it was 6:45 on Monday morning. Everybody is where they're going to be already. You know what I mean? And whatever you did yesterday, you already did. So it's look out for each other, try and think ahead, and just, you know, remember, you can't fix things in the moment. You have to be better prepared. And whatever you do today, metabolically, is going to help you at some point. You know what? Brian's better at this than me. 30 minutes to 24 hours later. Mm-hmm. So try and be ready.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And none of us like quit our days when we go home. That's the other thing. So, like, you know, to try and like prepare for the next day in the evening, you just worked 8, 10, 12 hours, finally got home. You got the rest of the things you got to do.
Yeah.
And a lot of that's outside, right? Like, go home and mow the lawn. Yeah. Go home and do your household maintenance, whatever it is, you know.
Yeah, go to your kid's sporting event outside, do whatever.
Sporting events. Yeah. And so, like, it just got to be, unfortunately, part of your normal routine. You gotta
work out. You know what I mean? We got a lot of guys because blue collar, you start so early. There's a lot of guys work out before, but other guys work out in the evening. So in other words, you got a lot of our team that like works out. Like you got to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
I used to think about, not jet off because we're wrapping up, but like we used to go to like soccer and football camp in the middle of summer.
Yeah.
And like they would run you basically until
it was a
you
test.
passed it. Yeah, it was like
a test.
We're not talking the level of like the military that you watch on TV when they do their test, but I mean like it was basically like, all right, if you can't keep up, like sorry about your luck, but it was literally in the middle of the dead summer and it would just be like, and now we're watching like professionals and there's like stopping for water breaks. I'm just like, is this where we got?
We used to have water breaks for it, but it was just
you got pulled out of the game. Somebody else came in. You didn't stop the game.
Didn't stop the game. Yeah, no. I thought you meant at the 2-3 days at practice. They give you a water break. You got to drink out of a hose. A hose attached to a PVC.
We had the cow.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You just build a PVC frame, drill some holes
in it. Yeah.
The only thing that's more
turn
better,
the hose on,
more
water
better,
shoots out.
The only thing that's more better than drinking out of a hose is like 25 guys drinking out of the same hose off of the PVC pipe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you cap one end, you got like 30 spouts
coming
coming
30
out.
spouts. This is
line up.
Maybe we just set that up in job sites. You know what I mean? Put one of those portable water
we did not
tanks.
have rain last night, but there's a big puddle over here now because they've been running that thing.
See, we were doing so good being good about the topic.
Turning about sprinklers on, like washing the machine with it too, just taking it like a wand.
All right. It's hot. We've got to be productive, but we also have to take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
That's a good place to wrap it up. We're not scientists. We're not
doctors.
For sure. For sure. But we do know that it's got to be part of your routine.
Yeah.
So, thanks for joining us today, folks. We hope you get something from this, and we hope you come back for another episode.